Good morning, Vivek. Good morning, all. Good morning, Garima. Good morning, Rashmi.
Sorry.
So, shall we start now? Am I audible? Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, then. Okay. So yesterday we have seen some instructions. Today we'll see further in this. I am repeating this slide once again for books because we have started with 8051 microcontroller. So for 8051 microcontroller, you can refer any book, but I prefer this particular book, Internals 8051 microcontroller by Subrata Ghoshal. It is Pearson publication, but it is not compulsory that you should also refer this. You can refer any book. So similar as we have seen 8085, here also we will see instruction set, introduction we have seen, instruction set we will see, programming, and then interfacing we'll see. So we have talked about data transfer instructions in 2 classes, but just let me explain this particular instruction which is with the @ sign, that is indirect instruction, data transfer instruction. So just let me explain this particular. Yeah. So suppose if your instruction is move at RP comma hash data, then here RP will refer to only R0 and R1. No other registers will be allowed. And any problem to anybody? Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, all of you?
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
Yes, okay then, good. So if if you have any doubt, then only you keep your mic on, otherwise you put your mic off, otherwise I will come to know what breakfast is going at your place. Your mother may ask you that take this, take that, and everything will be then out. I will come to know. So if I write this particular instruction and suppose if my R0 register is containing 30 hex, then this immediate data, and suppose if my instruction is move at R0 comma hash 67, then this hash sign means it is immediate data 67 hex byte. It will not go to R0 register, but it will go to memory location 30 hex because there is a @ sign. So it is indirect. So where it will go to the memory location which is pointed out by R0 register. And if R0 is containing 30 hex, then this 67 will go to 30 hex memory location. This is just, I wanted, since 2 days I am explaining the operation of this particular @ sign. So I just thought that let me explain you with one example. So we will move further with other instructions. So today we'll see some new instructions. Code memory read-only moves, or it is called as coded move, or code memory read-only moves. So there are only 2 instructions with this particular coded memory, and these are written as move C. If you put here C, then it refers to the code memory read-only moves. So suppose if your DPTR, because DPTR is 16-bit register, so it will contain 16-bit data. So let's say if your DPTR is containing 16-bit data, any 16-bit data, let's say we'll take one example, 1, 2, 3, 4 hex. And because your accumulator is 8-bit register, let's say accumulator is containing some 8-bit data, 56. We have put hash sign, that means both are immediate data moving to respective registers. Now suppose if I write this particular instruction, move C a comma at a plus DPTR, then what happens? DPTR contents, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 will be added to accumulator contents, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 will be added to 56, and new memory location is generated, a plus DPTR, that is 1 to 8A. It is generated because of addition of accumulator contents to DPTR. So this is another 16-bit memory location, and because we have put @ sign over here, that means whatever is the data at this particular memory location 128A, naturally because 8051 is 8-bit microcontroller, so whether your address is 16-bit or 8-bit address, the data at that particular address is 8-bit. So that 8-bit data at this particular memory location will go to accumulator. So this is how you have, because DPTR was pointing out directly 1 2 3 4, accumulator was having 56, but by adding these two things you have coded one new memory. So that's why this particular instruction is with move C. Similarly, here you have DPTR, you have two 16-bit registers. So one is DPTR and one is PC. So this particular move C instruction is valid only with these two registers, and there are only two combinations of these move C instructions. One is move C a comma at a plus DPTR, and another is move C a comma at a plus PC. Now what can be the use of this? Why don't we use directly here any 16-bit address? We can put now 128A we wanted, we can put here DPTR comma hash 128A, and then we can move any data to this particular DPTR, move DPTR comma. Then why we need this particular instruction, move C, coded memory? Why we are doing this addition of accumulator and addition, then indirectly transferring the data to accumulator? Why don't we directly point out DPTR with this particular value? Can anybody guess what can be the use of these instructions? Anybody can guess? Anybody can guess this? Why do we do A plus DPTR? Why don't we directly take this 128A in DPTR and move the data from that memory location to accumulator? Anybody can guess?
मैम 8 में इंटरनल जो है वो 128 बाइट्स की है.
हाँ, so but DPTR is 16-bit, and DPTR can be anywhere in 64K memory location. You can point out, it may refer to the RAM locations in ROM memory also. But then why do we do like why we have taken 1 2 3 4 over here? So instead of 1 2 3 4, we could have taken 128A directly. Why are we adding A plus DPTR? Adding A with DPTR will make one new memory location, but as we are pointing out 1 2 3 4, we can point out 128A also directly. Then what can be the reason that why do we need to use this type of instruction? Any guess? See, suppose if you work with some temperature controller devices, suppose if you have the system with for temperature measurement, so what are the transducers which you have used for temperature measurement? In EMMI subject you must have studied. What are the transducers which you use for temperature measurement? Have you studied this some or the other time in first year or second year? Do you know thermistor? Thermistor, thermocouple. Have you studied all this? Wheatstone's bridge. Anybody can
Yes,
answer?
ma'am.
So what they do, temperature transducers, what they do, they convert the temperature parameter. Temperature is the physical quantity. They convert it into thermistor, means the resistance of the thermistor changes depending upon the temperature. So if you use NTC, that is negative temperature coefficient, then as your temperature increases, the resistance of the thermistor decreases. If you use PTC, then as your temperature increases, the resistance is also increases. So, and then where you put this thermistor, you put this thermistor in one of the branch of Wheatstone's bridge. Wheatstone's bridge is having 4 branches, and initially they are balanced. So balanced means the output between two terminals is 0 when all the branches are balanced. But suppose if any resistance of one of the branches changes, then accordingly the output voltage changes. So you put your thermistor in one of the branches of Wheatstone's bridge. I think you must have studied Wheatstone's bridge. Here I cannot draw this particular diagram. If it would have been blackboard chalk, then I would have drawn and I would have explained you all these things. But suppose if you put a thermistor in one of the branches of this Wheatstone's bridge, and depending upon the temperature, and if you change the temperature which is thermistor is sensing, then the output voltage will change. And if you give this output voltage to analog to digital converter, this analog to digital converter will convert the analog values into digital value. So that means as your temperature is changing, your resistance is changing. And as your resistance is changing, your voltage is changing. And because your analog voltage is changing, your digital value, converted value of that particular analog value is changing. And this digital value you are working with microprocessor or microcontroller. So by how to know that this particular digital value is corresponding to this particular temperature? Because thermistor is not a linear device. Thermistor is exponentially varying. It is having the exponential scale. That means your temperature and resistance, there is no linear relationship. So if you do not have linear relationship, then it becomes difficult to find out the values, to convert the values, because we do not have the instructions which will give you the values in exponential conversions. So what you do, suppose if you have thermistor, and if suppose if you are measuring temperatures from 0 to 40 degrees, then what will you do? If you have designed some circuit, then first you will find out the digital values for all thermistor readings, for all temperature readings. And you will find out so suppose if you have 0 to 40 degrees, then what you will do with that particular hardware design, you will find out the digital values for all temperatures, 0 degrees, 1 degrees, 2 degrees Celsius. And then what you will do, you will find out one lookup, you will form one lookup table. And in that lookup table, depending upon your digital value, suppose if you at DPTR, suppose if you are taking 2000, And suppose if your temperature is 40 degrees Celsius, and for 40 degrees Celsius, let's say, for example, your digital value is F3 hex. So what you will do at 2020 F3 hex memory location, you will save 40. Why? Because when you want to display the temperature, if you display it as F3 hex, nobody will understand. Layman will not understand that. If you tell somebody that your temperature is F3 hex, nobody will understand. But if you say that your temperature is the temperature of the room or temperature of atmosphere is 40 degrees Celsius, then everybody will understand. So what you will do at F20 F3 hex memory location, you will save 40 value. And why you have saved this 40 value at 20 F3 memory location? Because when you have calibrated when you have studied your system, your design system, for 40 degrees Celsius, the digital value was F3 hex. So that's why at 20 F3 hex memory location, you have saved 40 value. For you, it is degrees Celsius, but for microcontroller, it is hexadecimal value. So it can display that particular value on digital displays. Then suppose if your temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, and let's say for 30 degrees Celsius, the corresponding digital value is C3 hex. Then at 20 C3 hex memory location, what value you should have saved? You should have saved value 30. Why? Because whenever the temperature 30 degree will occur, it will give you the corresponding digital value as C3 hex. So when you have studied all the values for all the temperature values as digital values, at corresponding memory location, you will save that particular temperature reading. And when you will point out DPTR as 2000 hex, and let's say your system is such that whatever digital value is coming out from analog to digital converter, it is coming in accumulator. So you do not know what is the temperature under measurement, but your analog system has converted that particular temperature value into digital value. And let's say that digital value is somewhere 52 or 53 hex kind of. So whatever value in accumulator is coming, what you are doing, you are adding it to 2000 hex memory location. So if you are adding it to 2000 hex memory location, then 2000 plus that 52 hex will form new memory location. And at 2052 memory location, some temperature reading is stored, and you will display that temperature reading. So now you don't have to bother why the value is 52 hex coming into accumulator. The value will come into accumulator because the temperature is such. And because the temperature is such that your digital analog to digital converter is giving you 52 hex, and at 2052 hex memory location, you must have stored 20 value, that is 20 degrees Celsius. So when you will display, so what will happen at 20 F3 52 memory location, 20 value will come into accumulator, and you will display that value. So now you don't have, because we do not have exponential instructions, we do not have any formula which will convert directly the temperature value into digital value. So we have to form lookup table, and for that particular lookup table, we do not know that what temperature is under conversion, and we do not know that what value is there in accumulator. But whatever may be the value in accumulator, because that value is corresponding to some temperature value, so that's why you are taking this particular value accumulator adding this value to DPTR and forming new memory location where you have stored the corresponding temperature reading. So I think, is it clear to you why this particular instruction is needed? In such type of applications where you do not have, you have to form lookup table, because you do not have direct conversion formula, or you do not have any other means to find out that particular value for that particular measurement. So even if it is temperature, even if it is pressure, because if it is not having a linear relation, y is equal to mx plus c, then it is difficult to find out, because we do not have any instruction which will convert the value into exponential form. So that's why we have to first form the lookup table of our system under measurement, or of values under measurement. And first you have to find out all digital values, and you have to store those values from one particular memory location. And then whatever may be your now new reading for under measurement, that value should come into accumulator, and you will take that value, you will add that particular value into DPTR. You will form another memory location which will contain your value for your temperature or pressure, whatever may be your system of measurement, and that will come into accumulator now. Is it clear now? Is it clear to you the application of this particular instruction, or the use of this particular instruction?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why we do not take directly DPTR, because if you take directly DPTR, then we have to know the value of DPTR. And if you are knowing the value of DPTR, then there is no point in going into conversion process, temperature conversion process, because then you cannot convert the unknown parameter. So this we do because we want to give the digital value for unknown parameter. So this is there are two instructions. Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, please.
हम जो वैल्यू एक्यूमुलेटर से डीपी कर रहे हैं, तो वो जो हमें नई मेमोरी लोकेशन मिलेगी, वहाँ तो हमें पहले ही स्टोर करानी होगी,
पहले स्टोर करके रखेंगे. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, move DPTR, comma, and that particular memory location, you should have stored the values in advance. That is called lookup table. When you store the values, yeah, at that one particular memory location, that particular memory location values, that table is called as lookup table. So, so in beginning only you store the value at that particular locations, and then whenever required, you call that value. So is it clear to you? This so because there are two, you can likewise you can change your program location also, instruction execution location also, because if you add accumulator to PC, program counter will be changed and new memory location will be formed, and from that particular memory location the data at that location will be taken into accumulator. So these coded instructions are two instructions only. There are no other combinations of coded memory instructions. So is it clear now? Coded instructions. Now we'll see some logical operations. There are AND operations, OR operations, and XOR operations. So if we use ANL, A comma hash data, that means data is your immediate data, 8-bit data. That immediate data is ANDed bit by bit correspondingly with accumulator. So let's say, suppose if your accumulator is containing this data, and if your immediate data is this, then after ANDing, the result is stored into accumulator. So this each bit is ANDed to each bit. So 0 0 is ANDed to, result is 0, 0 1 result is 0, 1 0 result is 0, 1 1 result is 1, 1 0 result is 0, 1 1 result is 1, and 0 0 result is 0, and 1 1 result is 1. So now new data is this, that is available into accumulator. So similarly you have another instructions and the instructions. You can AND the contents of 8-bit RAM location, which is given by this particular address location, with accumulator contents bit by bit, and result is available into accumulator. RR can be R0 to R7. You can AND the contents of R0 to R7 with accumulator bit by bit, and result will be available into accumulator. Similarly, suppose if your RP can be R0 or R1. Suppose if your R0 is containing 30 hex, then at 30 hex memory location, whatever may be the data, that data will be ANDed with accumulator and result will be stored into accumulator. Here accumulator contents are added to memory location and result will be stored into this memory location. Here it will not be stored into accumulator because this is your destination. This is the source and this is the destination. Here immediate data is ANDed with RAM contents and the result is stored into RAM memory location. So you have 6 types of ANDing instructions. Next you can same types of instructions, but now if you put ORL, then this will, instead of ANDing, this will do ORing. Each bit is OR to each bit of destination. Is it clear? Is ANDing and ORing clear to you? Yes. So similarly, you have XOR. Same 6 combinations are XOR combinations. So whatever data, immediate data, it will be XORed with accumulator contents bit by bit, and the result will be available into accumulator. Here result will be available into accumulator. Here also accumulator, and here it is available into RAM location. So these are also 6 combinations. So you have AND instructions, OR instructions, and XOR instructions in logical operations. Then there are 2 other operations, logical operations. One is clear accumulator and one is complement accumulator. So clear accumulator means whatever may be in accumulator, it will be cleared to 0. So after clear accumulator will be containing 0 hex. And complement means each bit will be complemented. So if it is the bit is 0, then it will be complemented to 1. If the bit is 1, then it will be complemented to 0. Then we'll see some bit level operations. When we have seen internal RAM structure, it is having 128 bytes of RAM, out of which first 32 locations are reserved for registers. Then you have 16 bytes, that is your bit addressable area. So from that particular 16 byte means how many bits are there? (16 bytes means how many bits? Can anybody tell? 128, yes, because each byte is containing 8 bits. So that 16 byte memory location, that means those 128 bits are having individual addresses. Each bit is having individual address. So these are your bit level operations. That means you are ANDing carry bit with the bit this can be the bit address from that 16 byte memory location. Any bit address can be, any bit can be taken. So bit means either it can be 0 or it can be 1. So if this bit, whatever may be this address bit, whether it is 0 or whether it is 1, that will be ANDed with your carry bit and the result will be stored into carry bit. Here first the bit is complemented. So if initially the bit is 0, first it will be complemented and it will become 1. And then it will be ANDed with the carry status. Here it is odd. That bit status is odd with carry status and the result will be available into carry. Here first the bit is complemented and then it will be odd with carry status. Then you have complement bit. So whatever may be your bit previously, if it is 0, it will become 1. If it is 1, it will become 0. Complement carry. So whatever may be your carry status previously, if your carry is 0, it will become 1. If your carry is 1, then it will become 0. Clear bit. That means whatever may be your bit previously, whether it is 1 or whether it is 0, it will be cleared to 0. It will become 0. Clear C. Whatever may be your carry previously, whether it is 0 or whether it is 1, it will become 0. Now move C comma B. So whatever is your B status, bit may be 0 or 1, whatever is that bit, that status will be moved into carry status. Whatever is your carry status over here, that will be moved into B's bit status. Set BC. This is exactly the reverse of clear. Clear is making it to 0. Set B is making it to 1. So whatever may be your previous status of carry, whether it is 0 or whether it is 1, if you use set B instruction, it will become 1. And whatever may be this bit, if you use set B instruction, this will become 1. So now what is this B address and how you can differentiate this address from your RAM location? So your internal RAM is 128 bytes. 128 bytes means it will start from 00 to 7F. So out of 00 to 7F, first 32 are your registers. That means 00 to 1F are your registers. Then after that 16 bytes are bit addressable area. That means after 1F, 20 and 20 to 2F, that means these 16 bytes are your bit addressable area. So this addresses of each bit will start from 00. And because how many bits are there? 16 bytes means 128 bits are there. So if your address of bit starts from 00, it will go up to 7F because 00 to 7F is 128. So your bit addresses are 00 to 7F. Now don't get confused with this 00 and this 00. This 00 is corresponding to the bit 0 address of 20 memory location. 20 hex memory location because your bit addressable area starts from 20 hex. So if I use 00 hex address for bit, that means it is the 0th bit of 20 hex memory location. Is it clear? Is it clear to you? You have internal RAM 128 bytes, out of which 32 are registers. So 00 to 1F locations will go for registers. Then after that you have 16 bytes, that is your bit addressable area. So these 16 bytes are after 1F, from where it will start 20, and 16 means 20 to 2F. But this 20 to 2F, these 16 bytes are nothing but 128 bits. So each bit is having address. That means suppose if you have, let's say, table, let's see. I'm unable to insert table. How many columns I want? 8. How many rows I want? 2. Okay. So let me explain this way. Can you see this? So this is my bit 0. B0. This is B1. This is B2, B3, B4, B5, B6 and B7. So these are 8 bits of one particular byte. Let's say this particular memory location is 20 or 29 hex, whatever may be. So suppose if this memory location is 20 hex, let's say if this memory location is 20 hex. So 20 hex means, can you see this? 20 hex. 20 hex is your
Yes, ma'am.
first bit addressable area. Out of the 16 bytes, 20 hex is your first bit addressable area. And how, because it is a byte, so how many bits are there? 8 bits are there. So this particular bit will have address, because this is the first bit addressable byte. So this will have address as 00 hex. This will have address 01 hex. This will have 02 hex. This will have 03, 04 hex, 05 hex, 06 hex, and this will have 07 hex. That means this 20 hex memory location of bit addressable area will have each bit will have address which will start from 00. So this particular byte will have addresses for bits from 00 to 07. Then now next memory location, if suppose this is 21, then it will start from, after 07, what is the next bit? Next address, this will start from 08. Is it clear?
08.
Yeah, this will be 09,
Yes, ma'am.
A, B, C, D, E, and F. If I take here 22, then 22, then this will be after 0F, what is there? 10. So this will become 10. This will become 11. This will become 12. This will become 13 hex, 14, 15, 16, and this will become 17 hex. So is it clear now? If this will become 23, then it will be from 18.
Yes.
Is it clear? So all these 20 hex to have memory location of RAM, for bits they are having such type of addresses which will vary from 00 to 7F. So if I call that bit address is 4F, that means 4F means where it will come, this will be 29th memory location, it will be 29, and it will be bit 7. So here 4F will come. If you go for 23, it will be 182 1F. Then for 20F, it will be 202 27. Then for next, it will be 282 2F, 302 37, 382 3F, 402 47, and 482 4F. So when 4F will come over here, this will be your 29th memory location. So if I say bit address 4F, that means it is bit 7 of 29th memory location. Now is it clear? Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is your bit addressable area. Yes. Then after that you have, after this 2F, you have 80 bytes of general purpose RAM, that is from 30 to 7F. We are talking about now bit addressable area because we are looking at this particular instructions, bitwise instructions. So if I say bit address 4F, that means it will be 7th bit of 29 memory location. So let us see one example if I have taken or not. Yeah. So if I write my instruction like this, NL C, 4F, that means whatever is that bit 7 of 29th memory location, it may be either 0 or it may be either 1. that will be ANDed with carry bit, and the result will be stored into carry bit. Is it clear now? So how will you differentiate this 4F from your RAM location? It cannot be RAM location because RAM location always contains the byte. That means it contains 8 bits, and 8 bits cannot be ANDed with 1 bit carry. So ANDing will be done with proportional number of bits only. So if I am ANDing or ORing something with carry bit, then this has to be bit. So if I write over here 4F, then I should not be confused whether it is RAM address or whether it is bit address. It is but natural compulsorily bit address, because bit address bit only will get ANDed with carry bit. No other, because carry is not a byte. So is it clear now? So whatever may be 4F status, that bit status, whether it is 0
Yes,
or 1,
ma'am.
that will be ANDed with carry. Here first it will be complemented and then it will be ANDed. Here ORing will be done, here complementing and then ORing. Here complementing of that particular bit will be done. Here complementing of carry bit, here clearing of that bit, whatever may be that bit 7 of 29 memory location, whatever may be, it is 0 or 1, it will be by clear instruction, it will become 0. And if you do here move, then whatever may be that bit status, whether it is 0 or 1, it will be moved to carry. Here the carry status will be moved to that particular bit. And here you are setting that whatever may be the previous status of that particular bit, whether it is 0 or 1, you are setting it to 1. So is it clear now, bitwise operations? So there is no confusion whether if you are writing 4F, there is no confusion that whether it is RAM or whether it is bit address, because this is bit, so it has to be bit address. And if it is bit address, then you have to find out that which memory location it is. 4F means it is 29 memory location, 7th bit. Is it clear now? Is it clear? So we'll see some other logical, this is the last slide. We'll see some operations, logical operations, as we have seen in 8085. RLA, that means rotate accumulator left. This is without carry. In 8085, it was reverse. If C was there, then it was without carry. If C was not there, then this was with carry. But here it is same. If C is not there, then it is without carry. If C is there, then it is with carry. So RLA means rotate left without carry. RLCA means rotate left with carry. RRA means rotate right without carry. RRC means rotate right with carry. And swap A means swapping of the nibbles. So if it is applicable only with accumulator. So if your accumulator is containing 63, then it will swap the lower nibble with upper nibble, and it will become 36. After swapping, it will become 36. If you have here F2, then it will become 2F. Is it clear? Swapping operation. All these are logical operations. Is it clear to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so you all do these operations with, you take the data in accumulator as 43 hex. Sorry, you take the data as 42 hex. In accumulator data, you consider as 42 hex, and carry you assume as 0. And you find out the results for all these, all the instructions. This is your assignment. You have to take the data as 42 hex and carry as 0, and you have to find out all the instructions. So what is your assignment? Assignment is, your accumulator is containing 42 hex, and you have to find out all that. Rotate left, right, and C is containing, carry is 0. So you have to find out rotate, left, right, with and without, carry and swap. All this you have to find out after swapping. So all of you have written the attendance in chat box. Have all of you have written the attendance? Yes. So we'll end the meeting now, and where is that stop sharing? Stop share.